What's up, everybody? Quick introduction today. I figured I'd show you my office while I was talking. One of the complaints that I have of this figure, which I do love, I'll have you know, but one of the complaints I do have of this figure in the video is that the side view mirrors seem like they could be easily damaged. I just want to go on the record and say, as I was boxing it up, closing it up, etc., shutting down the figure, shutting down the review that was on loan to me, the side view mirror did start to break. It didn't break completely, but it definitely started to break. Ooh, a little Easter egg there. But I just want to let you know, when I say that it could break in the video, it means it probably will break if you put too much stress on it. Be very careful with it. It's a delicate piece. Hopefully, Fanstoys, if you're listening, that's something that should be fixed before this thing gets out. That's my only real big complaint with this unit. Otherwise, it's pretty fantastic. I love it. I'm excited for you guys to see what I think about it. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, you ain't nothing but a hound dog's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Fanstoys, I don't know, Willis or Willy, or initially I was going to go with your favorite, what you talking about, Willis, favorite nerd, but I couldn't remember whether it was Willy, Willis, Wiley, Willy. I know it has something to do with the name of the Jeep that he's modeled after, and I know that from T2RX6, my buddy. So shout out to him, and that won't be the only shout out this episode, but we'll get to that a bit later. So he comes with a handful of accessories, and they're all good to go. All good choices. Let's get to the ones that he's not kind of wearing at the moment, that he's not modeling, you might say, in his spring collection. We have this, which is the, for the alt mode, obviously, has a little piston action. You know, I like a piston on a hinge there, and then this hinges and that hinges a bit just to allow a little bit of movement for the piston to kind of work, and then it plugs in there. We'll talk about this a bit later. Not like a paint on it, but it does look good. It's good sculpt work. You see all the little bolts. I hope you can see all the little bolts and stuff in there. There's a lot of sculpt work in there. We have this little ditty. This is used for alt mode as well, so we'll get there when we get there. It's just a single mold. It's fine. We have the alternate head, which I will be using when mine comes in. This is a sample, like a pre-production sample, so we'll be looking at this version of it, which is pretty much good to go. There is a few issues. We will talk about them, obviously, but if you think I haven't been excited about a toy in a while, this one is the one that I am excited about now. So this has the white face with the blue eyes, very G1 accurate cartoon-wise, and looks great. It's definitely the one that I'll be going with. Which one you go with is up to you. The reason why he's not on there now is because it doesn't belong to me. This is on loan to me once again from Jisk, a.k.a. Jabotron, a.k.a. Mr. a.k.a. from Realm of Collectors that you can find. That's their weekly podcast on YouTube and iTunes and all sorts of stuff. Good bunch of guys like my little nephews. So he also comes with this face shield to kind of emulate the bit where he was underwater. And it's just held in there with tension. And I'm having a hard time getting it to stick. But we'll take a look at it on the other face, see if it gives it any easier of a time. And I dropped the little thing again, which we're going to talk about in another review. I don't know if it's out yet. But theoretically, it would just hold there, which it kind of is doing there, but not really. So that's a bummer if you're into that look. Not the biggest deal for me. But that's not it, my friends. He comes with two more accessories. I have them kind of linchpinned onto the bag there. I don't think that's where they really go. There's no instructions with this. You know what that means. Transformation errors coming right up. But they will hang on the back there. If you hang this one right before this knuckle here, and then you can have room to hang this one over here, and they'll both fit if you choose to store them that way. The green finish, both on this, there is some scuffs here. I'm not sure what that's from. I think this thing has changed hands a few times, much like the kickback. And then this hinges down, and we'll talk about this a bit later. But they are cool. They do look hound-ish. The color is brilliant, and all those sorts of things. We're going to set them to the side. Two guns, one for each of you. He's got this one. This articulates here. It's got this silver finish on there, which looks good. A better choice over chrome, in my opinion. And this thing here swivels, and you can have it like this so that he can hold it, and you can have it straight up and down to plug into something or whatever. And this gun, once again, it's just kind of a, it's two pieces just snap tight together, single cast, and they're good to go. They're fine. Silver finish on it, looks fine. Other than that, not much paint, but there is not tons, but enough sculpted detail to kind of make it at least visually interesting. And then lastly, He comes with this bit up here, which hinges there, and you can get it all the way down and up to there. It falls out because of the design of it, but that plugs in back there, or you can have it on the opposite side, whatever suits your sensibilities. We're going to set that to the side in a minute after that. I will say that the little black piece that we looked at earlier fits into there, and then this can plug into the Jeep as well. We'll talk about that when we get there. But silver paint, green finish, silver paint, looks good, looks accurate, looks the part, no problems. This bad boy here is a bad mamma jamma. Let's talk about him. I love the overall look. I absolutely love it. I think it nails it. Nails it. This bit here is frustrating to me. It doesn't look bad. It's fine. It's a nitpick, I suppose. But if this could get like a hinge there, where you could slide it back in there, I think it would look a little bit finished. But for the life of me, like I said, I don't have any instructions, but for the life of me, I can't figure out how to do it if you can. Outside of that, it's great. The green finish is throughout, and it looks spectacular. Let's talk about the head. There's a little bit of a problem there, and we'll discuss it. It's on a hinge swivel, which you know is my favorite way to articulate a Masterpiece head. So you get up to there, you get down to there, down to there, up to there, so good range of motion, and then you get the swivel. Has a silver paint finish on the face, and the eyes are painted blue, and there's a green finish on the head there. Now, this pin that sits in at the jawline is a bit stiff. It works, there's no problem, but you do feel like it should move a little bit smoother. Maybe that's something that they'll fix in the end if they're listening. I hope that they write it in their little journal. And for the rest of the torso here, I think it looks great. I think the proportions are great. I think that this bit here sticks in just enough. I felt like, we're going to talk about him and Gundog at the end, but, Gundog's section here kind of didn't sit quite right with me. I feel like this does it a lot better. The windshields, or the side mirrors, rather, windshields, they're on a hinge, so they can articulate down to give that clean finished look. You got the orange paint, you got white paint, you got silver paint, you got the green finish, you got the translucent pieces there, you got black paint, you got the silver finish here, you got orange nope, that's paint, you got the yellow paint. Like, come on. I have not one complaint about that. Not one. Not the look, not the finish, not the paint. Well done. My only complaint is that back there. And the black is painted on the windshield wipers. Good to go. Arm articulation, little bit hindered, so you only get up to there. You can't get all the way up. Like if there was a hinge here that you could get it all the way up. Not the biggest deal in the world, certainly not a big deal for me, but I am pointing it out. And then the swivel is intact for 360. You got the bicep swivel, you got the single pinned elbow, which works fine, gets you to 90 degrees. Wrist swivel, fingers on a base pin knuckle, so that all works fine. Paint wise, not a lick of paint on the shoulder, bicep, or hand, but you get the yellow stripes with the green finish on the forearm, and it looks good enough to break up the sculpt. So that's all good. Same for the other side, no problems there. All that stuff in there cleans up very well. It's a good thing it cleans up very well, because dealing with it going from mode to mode is a pain, but we're not quite there yet. Moving down, we have silver paint here. Is a little bit of a weird line they decided to choose. I'm funny about stuff like that, but not the biggest pain or the biggest deal in the world. Waist swivel, little tight. Not crazy, but a little tight, tolerance-wise. Back of it, fairly clean. I guess a little bit carried away down in here, but overall, nothing really to complain about. Yellow stripes across the pelvis, they look good. The green box on the pelvis, so to speak, that looks good as well. We got friction universals for hips. Articulation's a little hindered forward. If they had put a waist flap in there, that would have solved that problem. Out to the side, not a problem at all. Thigh swivel's built into the universal, so that's good. Silver finish on the thighs, that's good. You have a double jointed knee, but you really only need one of the hinges to get you the full range, but who's going to complain about an extra joint, which is mainly used for this, but it doesn't matter, it's there. Silver finish there, that knee works great. Look at that range, good to go. Moving down, the green finish, the red paint, all looks good. The feet, I know people have complained about the way that they look. Go back and look at the cartoon. I think it's pretty well done. I think it's very G1 accurate. And I can tell you in hand, they don't seem as, I don't know, obvious and obtrusive, whatever. They don't seem as offensive to the eye in hand at all. We got the tampered paint there. Otherwise, pretty much the same thing. We got this paint here on this little grate there. It looks great. It's like a darker green. It looks fantastic. And then we have a bit of the feet are a little weird, not the worst thing in the world, but you have this pin here, which is where the problem lies slightly. So this gets you an ankle tilt forward to there, back to there, and then the rocker is built in at this hinge here, so the rocker is completely intact, and then you have a bit of a toe tilt up and a toe tilt slightly down, just the ever so slightly. Same on the other side, and that's this guy in a nutshell, and I gotta tell you, he's a thing of beauty. Size comparison wise, there he is with some other G1ers, so he's maybe slightly taller than Wheeljack, smaller than Ironhide, and you know, I think that's a good size. I think it's appropriate. Now, before we transform him, I got to give a shout out to Pake for Life Reviews. Now, I've met him in person. He's a cool dude, but I got jammed up on this guy when I was transforming him. I couldn't figure something out. We'll talk about it when we get there, but I had a really hard time with it. So I did what I never do, which is look up other reviewers to see how they did it. And I think he was the only one that went from bot to alt mode, which is the way that I prefer to do business. I prefer to do it the way that it comes packaged. And he did a good job, but it really helped me out in figuring out how to work out this one part. So I want to make sure I credit him for that. He's a good dude. I have one complaint with him, and that's that, and I don't want to spread a whole bunch of drama, but you know, we speak ever so often, and I've invited him out to the house to hang out a few times, and he's always got some excuse why he can't make it. So like, I'm starting to think, man, like maybe he doesn't want to be friends, you know, and like he's always got an excuse, you know, that he's got kids, you know. I don't know what it's like having kids that cause problems.
I think F stands for fantastic.
He's got a wife. You know, I don't know what it's like to have a wife that would get in my way at all.
What'd you say?
So I think that all you guys, when you watch a Pig for Life video, you should hashtag I don't know, hashtag something on like Skullfest or Bust. He's supposed to come out for Skullfest this year. Anyway, he's a good dude. I love him to death. Hung out with him at TFCon. He introduced me to some of his buddies that he rubs elbows with, and if you know him, you know he rubs a lot of elbows. And you know, they kind of looked at me like, "Oh, you're that guy," but that's fine. No harm, no foul. You know, we have to be accountable for the words we say and the actions that we take. So make sure the hands are lined up straight. Push them in to collapse them just a taste. You'll hear them click. You can do the same thing for the other side. Make sure that it's all lined up the best you can. Push it in. Pull this out here at the rocker. Rotate this piece back here so that the door is straight back, and then rotate this little black piece here all the way around to the back. Once this is open, you can pull the foot up as well. I mean the chair. That's a really tight tolerance. That's something that they should work on. And then move this tire out so that it tabs back in. Then this rocks down, and eventually this piece will close up. Actually, you can do that now and tab in to the back of the thigh there. And then just leave this bit out. This will all close down. This ends up being the back at the end. So for the other side, open it up, flip this bit around, move the black piece all the way back around, open up the chair, open up the tire, rotate down on the thigh so that it goes in, then the chair tabs in, and you can always untab this stuff if it gets in your way a little later because the hard part is coming. And then tab that back in and just kind of be aware of how it needs to sit in the end. Then you can tab in your two pieces here in the back. Try to make sure that this back section is as straight as possible. It's not always the easiest thing to do. And that's that. And that took some doing. That's not an easy task. Mainly because of the die cast pieces. Now let's move on. This is where things get challenging. So I like to open it up and just get as much wiggle room as you can in the upper body before you start. So it's on a hinge here, there, and that gives you some room for your hands to kind of get the work done. So you want to move down the front fender and this back piece. So move that down all the way. You see it slid down right there, and then open this part up. Same for the other side. And this one gives me a little bit more trouble. Move this fender out. There. The next step is to remove this piece that the neck is on, plugged in from this front bit of the bot. Now, in order to do that, because of this die cast tolerance, it's actually fairly challenging. So you need to kind of get in and push the front away from this middle section while pushing back here and just kind of hope for the best. There. Actually, that worked a little bit better. So what I did there was actually I just applied a little bit of pressure down on this front, and then this part flipped up. So that's where you want it. The problem that I was running into was clearance. And what you need to do is you need to have this crossbar here sit across the body, so to speak, of the vehicle. And you're going to rotate this tire out and this arm in so they kind of swap places. But there's a lot of moving pieces that go here, and it's not the easiest thing to do. So start with the tire, get it out. Then you want to keep all this as straight as you can and move this piece in while you move the tire out, simultaneously making sure that this green piece stays flush. And that's how it's done. It's not that difficult, and with his suggestion, it actually made things quite easy for me. And then angle this so that you can see this exposed joint here. Rotate the bicep so that the arm is pointing towards the front of the vehicle. So we'll do it one more time. Move this tire out and get it to about there. And then rotate this piece. And now as you do them both with your armature sitting across the body, kind of make sure they get by one another. And angle it so that you can see the joint here. Rotate the forearm, snap the tire into place, make sure that the arms are bent at the elbow facing the front of the vehicle, and that's the hardest part of that process complete. And you know me, I struggle on transformations. So if I was able, especially the more complex ones, so if I was able to do it with just 2 times of practice and do it this smoothly on camera, it's probably not the most difficult thing in the world. It just takes a little bit of wrapping your mind around it and keeping track of all the moving pieces that have to kind of correlate at the end. Now flip your head through, open up the front as you need to in order to get this to come out just a little bit on the opposite end. Collapse this sliding mechanism here, which is something that I recommend that they work on tolerance wise. Put that in so that when it collapses like that and the steering wheel is up, it's facing upward. So that when it, you know what I mean, you'll be able to start figuring it out from here, I think. On the bottom, now you want to rotate these pieces that we tried to keep straight in order to get them by down while you fold the arms up and inside this open cavity of the hood. And same on the other side. Rotate the green panel down and then the arms up so that it sits in there like that. One of the last challenges that you'll face here is you need to get these 2 pieces to tab in to those 2 ports while getting this piece to line up with that front piece there. So kind of make sure that this is where it needs to be, and then just muscle that down. And sometimes it works better than others. That's the best I've ever got it to work. Now let's finish it off, shall we? Rotate your side view mirrors up, push these pieces up here so that they lock into location, and then make sure that your bar is slid all the way up. Make sure your back pieces are up and collapse. Now once you collapse, you bring these pieces back down and they lock into those slots there, and that keeps it all tied together. And I gotta tell you, Mac, that's a good looking unit. Let me get it cleaned up and we'll try to curb our enthusiasm the best we can, and we'll talk about it. And there it is, all armed up. And it rolls. The back tires are a little stiff, but it does roll. It has, I feel like I may be doing something wrong here. I didn't watch the rest of Pig's review because I don't watch reviews like opinion-wise about stuff until after I reviewed it. But that's a little bit more tense. You really got to push it down, and then it'll hold into place fine. Just to prove it. It seems like to me, so these things they clip on this back panel here. It seems like to me that these pieces, if you look, they both plug in. There's two identical holes there in the back, and they plug in there. And then but there's nothing. I can't figure out anything to do with this piece. Maybe there's a way to. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to do it. I don't know how to do it. But other than that, you can get them armed up pretty well. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It looks on the money. It looks spot on. I don't have any complaints. The green finish looks good. It looks very military-esque. With it all armed up and stuff, it has a very, you know, just it looks like it means business. Like I don't have. It's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful piece. I wish that these back tires rolled a little bit easier. I do wish that. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints about this mode. There's a size comparison with Tiger Tracks, per usual. He will fit into the back of Optimus's truck. However, you do have to collapse this because while this does have the clearance... let me get you up there. It does have the clearance to get in. There's a little piece of molding that it gets hung up on, so you have to collapse it just ever so slightly, that much, which I guess is significant. But it, you know, if you think about it, it's I don't know. It's not really that bad. I think it's pretty good. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the negatives. And one of them mainly comes down to where Fanstoys uses their diecast. I applaud them for using so much diecast. It gives the figure a good weight and a good feel in your hand. However, sometimes when the diecast has to interlock with other pieces, be it plastic or other diecast, especially in the legs when you're transforming it and trying to get those legs to tab together, it becomes a bit of a bear because diecast with paint on top of it can become troublesome to get to kind of lock together. You have the same thing in the upper part with the neck, but I think I found a good way around that with putting a little bit of pressure on the front bumper. Secondly, the side view mirrors. They are delicate, and they're going to break with continued use. So I definitely recommend that you take it easy on them. It's a small piece of plastic, and it's a very tight tolerance, so that's going to cause an issue. And that's really my only complaints with this figure. If I were to nitpick one last thing, it would be that a lot of weight rests on this pin here of these feet. So sometimes it can be not unstable, but sometimes you just got to take a little bit of care in what you're doing when you go to pose them. More positives than I can shake a stick at, though. The paint, fantastic. The sculpt, fantastic. The articulation, fantastic. The transformation, people are going to complain about it. But if you just know what pieces move and how they move, it's not that hard. It's actually fairly well done. A lot of people complain or have criticized Fanstoys makes great figures because they haven't taken on more complex transformations. Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to eat your heart out this time. This is a fairly complex transformation, and everything is pretty well done, with the few exceptions, mainly being those die-cast pieces that have to interlock with another piece. But the whole arm tire thing, people are going to hate it. But if you do it the way that I did it, and I was working off of the way that Paik did it, it actually works very smoothly. The price is picture perfect. All the accessories are well thought out and well done. This is the most excited I've been about a third-party piece probably since their Bugs. In comparing it to Gundog, we should probably talk about that a bit. Gundog is a great bit. It's a great piece. It's awesome. I prefer the transformation on this. I had a harder time with the transformation of Gundog than I did with this. And it was just from kind of figuring out how the pieces work and where the clearance is needed. Also, I think that this is a lot more G1, which is kind of what I'm going for with my shelf, whereas Gundog feels a little bit more modern and a little bit more updated G1. This looks like it walked off the animation cell. This is the same reason why I prefer the Takara Laser Wave, just because I'm really going for that cartoon aesthetic like the older I get. And the more experience I get in my collecting. I know that that's kind of, even though sometimes I think, man, I kind of want an updated version, when I get the G1 version, when it hits like this hits, I know in my heart of hearts that that is what I want. I can't say it enough. I can't recommend it enough. I can't stress it enough. Pick up this figure. It's fantastic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. Alright, now this is where I needed Pake's help. I got jammed up here, and he has a good tip. So you want to get this up. Oh. It's my ringtone. I thought my phone was silenced.